Watch this vidcast, or I'll gouge your eyes out.
Welcome back, Horror Hounds, to Ghostman and Rivera's Horror Show podcast.
I'm Mike Ghostman Pickle.
And I'm James Rivera. Today we have an interview with Billy PON, the director of Circus of the Dead. It is going to be released July 14th on Blu-ray. The movie that was made in 2014. I think it's destined to become a cult classic.
It's a must-see, nasty little movie, and this guy is a really fascinating individual.
Check this interview out. You'll enjoy it.
Horror Show exclusive.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome Billy Bloody Bill PON. He produced, co-wrote, directed, and edited Circus of the Dead, awesome killer clown movie. What's up, Billy?
What's going on, you guys? I'm running a little bit late behind here, back here on Texas time, but we've been crazy busy trying to get ready for this release thing. I want to say I got 6 podcasts between now and next Tuesday.
So how are you handling your lockdown situation? How's that been going?
It's okay, because what it did is it forced me to slow down, and I come off that cancer and that chemo, and that stuff messed up my heart, so I can't do as much physically as I used to, but I'm getting my head really right now, and I've been writing a whole bunch and trying to get caught up on things.
How was it growing up in Mesquite, Texas?
Well, I liked the Mesquite a lot. Back then they called it like goat ropers. There's a lot of goat ropers. I don't know if people even know that term anymore, but it's kind of like hick and country and cowboy. Now it's not. It's completely different, but everybody's place group changed. But when I went there, I wasn't really a cowboy or nothing. I guess if anything, I was a stoner, but I didn't get stoned or nothing. But I just loved rock music and stuff like that and horror and stuff. And I started doing haunted houses when my mom was PTA president at my elementary school.
So you were
down there, yeah. So I've been doing it since I was a little kid, man. And I just knew doing haunted houses would lead me to doing movies someday is what the goal was.
Tell us some of the challenges that go into creating these haunts, because they look pretty elaborate.
Well, maybe for some people they're elaborate, but ours looks cool. But I'm real proud of what me and Lee Ankrum does. Is we kind of get things out of trash or garage sales or something. And that's what's fun about what we do is we try not to go to Spirit and buy that kind of stuff. It always seems cheap and hokey to me. And so I'd rather just kind of make it out of nothing or trash or something like that. And that's kind of taught us to be average special effects guys. And we always figured it would just be, if a haunted house is technically should be like a movie set. And that's what my haunted houses are. It's kind of like you're going in your own 5 or 10 minute, movie set to be part of your own movie, a horror movie. But nowadays it's all about the laws. And last year they changed the sprinkler system thing because I have a maze and now they're requiring me to have a sprinkler system. And that's bad because I was grandfathered because my building was so old. But to add that is going to be like $50,000, $60,000. So I don't know. I might be out of the haunted house business. I'm not sure. But with that said, coronavirus is here and I doubt we'd be open anyway this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that preparing haunts and doing all that is good preparation to learning how to be a filmmaker as far as setting things up?
I think absolutely. I think that I'm not going to say it's the end all of what make it good, but it gives you really good things of having a good eye and stuff like that. And I was really big about characters not being cheesy or overacting and all that kind of stuff. Because it's like the original Chainsaw. That's all left to your imagination. Leave it to the watcher's imagination. They're going to make it more scary than you could ever want to make it. There you go, yeah. And that's the movie that inspired me to want to be a horror filmmaker. So does it help? Absolutely, but I think it would help you too. Is like when I come down here to Odessa, I got my foot in the door at a TV station because I knew that would teach me how to use cameras, write, edit, and all this kind of stuff. And I've probably done easily probably 3,000 television commercials in my life. And that teaches you to show up and you got nothing at your means and you got to pull magic out of your rear end. So it taught me to be really good and efficient on a set real fast. I'm a really quick problem solver when, the camera's rolling and time is money.
So you worked on commercials before?
Mm-hmm. Thousands of them.
How did you get into that? How did that opportunity come about?
Well, don't be in awe about it because every town that's got a decent sized population probably has a local TV station, right? Mm-hmm. And if you go to that local TV station, you'd probably get you a job, get a foot in the door just being an intern. And but what you could do is every local TV station makes local TV production. That's those cheesy car commercials you see. If y'all live in a big market, you probably see nicer stuff. But, in podunk towns and stuff, You know, it's like a guy sitting on an elephant and saying, come down to the Circus of Savings and stuff. So, I mean, I've done some stuff. I'm probably not proud of 99% of those commercials, but every once in a while you get a great client that would say, hey, use your creativity and do what you want to do. And when we did that, they're always great commercials.
Oh, cool.
But I wanted to ask about your longtime collaborator, Lee Ankrum.
Yes.
And he's also the production designer. He's a set decorator on Circus of the Dead, and he co-wrote your movies with you. So how did you meet him, and what is the writing process like between you two?
Well, I'll talk first about how we met. We met in, he might have been, I just graduated high school, and he's a year behind me, and he was a police explorer for Mesquite Police, you know, like the POW program, Police Athletic League or whatever. And I actually met his mom in the parking lot. She was waiting for him to get out of his meeting, and I was going to meet with these guys because I was going to do a haunted house with them and let them keep the money, the police explorers. So I met her first, and she said, yeah, he's big and scary. He'd make a good Frankenstein. Well, you know, I met him that year, and he helped on the haunt, and other people that were supposed to be, you know, like partners and stuff, you know, they all grew up and, you know, didn't stay young like me and Lee, but me and Lee's always had a love for this stuff, so we stayed friends and did all our haunted houses together. And we knew we wanted to do a movie, so we started off with Doll Boy. Then we did Circus, and now we're doing Cowboys. Now, the writing process is I always get people that say they want to write with me or collaborate, but I tell everybody, I said, it's the hardest job in the world. And the only person I could probably do it with is Lee, because he's going to tell me something that's going to make me so mad. I'm going to cuss him out. I'm going to throw something and break something. And then after a couple hours, I'll go, hey, you know what? That wasn't a bad idea, buddy. I'm glad you told me that. But he can really take, you know, a beating, and, you know, and he thinks outside of the box like I do on everything too. He's even more extreme than I am, so I got to reel him back in sometimes. So this whole Popcorn was based after me and him, and kind of basically every man. And we wrote these inner monologues that didn't even make the movie. But there's so many inner monologues that Bill could have talked and stuff. We always thought we should do a graphic novel or something, because there were so many, all the inner monologue stuff got cut out of the movie. There's probably easily 45 minutes of inner monologue of him talking about life and people he's watching and stalking and all this stuff. It's just really great stuff. So maybe a graphic novel someday, but I couldn't do it without Lee. Like Cowboys, I wrote this and I sent it to him, and like I said, he'll bash it a little bit or say this, he likes this or not crazy about this, and I get mad and won't talk to him for a week, and then I'll go back to it and fix that. And that's how we usually do. So he's just a really good dude. I wish I had his temperament and stuff like that. He's just always been a really good friend, and actually more like a brother to me.
It's an awesome collaboration. Your first short film was Doll Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you guys come up with the idea for this short? What was the genesis?
The idea for Doll Boy come from actually the haunted house. Doll Boy is played by my brother-in-law, well, now brother-in-law. He wasn't at the time, Sergio Gracida. And he bought this really cool doll mask from Death Studios, Jeff at Death Studios. I don't know if y'all heard about Death Studios. But they make really cool Halloween masks. And, you know, he goes, look at this mask I got for the haunt, Billy. He goes, I'm going to get like a jumpsuit or some overalls. I go, man, everybody's played that to death. It needs to be something different. And I was sitting there trying to think for a day or two, and AC/DC come on the radio, and I thought of Malcolm Young. And I said, man, put him in a schoolboy outfit. And we did it, and it just, the way he looked with that mask and that outfit, I was like, holy crap, we hit pay dirt. You know, so it was just a happy accident that we used for the haunted house forever. He was a character in the haunted house 5 years before we made the short.
You made Doll Boy in 2010, and I also made my first short film, Stab Awake, was in 2010.
Okay.
And yours was 27 minutes, and mine was 35. And because of the length I ran into, I wasn't able to get into a lot of festivals. So how did you get into Texas Frightmare Weekend? How did they play a 27-minute movie?
I don't know how I got in there, and I don't know how I got into half of the ones we got into. I just quit even applying. People asked us. Frightmare was, I didn't know any of them, but I had a friend locally that says, hey, there's this big convention. I said, man, my movie's horrible. I hated it, you guys. I didn't want to get it out. It didn't seem Hollywood enough for me at the time or something. And he convinced me to put it in, and the next thing he goes, yeah, we'd be happy to screen it. And I was like, okay. So I just went up there as a guest, and you know, then that year I met Tom Six and Dieter Laser and stuff like that, and Sid Haig and stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, this is the coolest scene ever. And we had at Frightmare, if somebody comes and watch your short or something, I mean, you got 400 or 500 people in that damn room. And that made me feel good, and people coming up saying how much they liked it and all that. Now, to go back to your point is I like to pay it forward as a filmmaker to other people that are making it. And I wish they'd understand me when I tell them, I said, guys, make a short under 10 minutes or even under 5 minutes, because you got a better chance of getting in, because all those film festivals and stuff want to put a lot in. They don't want to put just one in. They want to put a lot in. So try to do something under, 5 or 10 before you tackle that. And it's really good experience. I even say too, is like out at Frightmare now, we do this, we do a horror fake trailer showcase. And what we do there is we pick our favorite 25 horror trailers, fake trailers, and we show it at Frightmare. And that room gets really raucous. It's about 500 people, and it's all laughing and funny, because in 2007, I did a fake trailer called Circuit de la Muerte, which is Circus of the Dead. And that showed me that I could do something that was halfway decent. And then I graduated to a short, then graduated to a feature. So I would tell everybody to make a fake trailer, because it's something you can knock out in 2 or 3 weekends. You'll see what you're good at, and you'll see what you're bad at. And what I say bad at is like maybe, you didn't mic everybody good, you can't hear them, can't understand, or or you're not focusing your camera, or your camera is just horrible, you can't run it the right way. So you need to find out what you're weak at, and then bring in other people that know how to do something better than you to do other things. So I noticed that too, is I started shooting on my own stuff in the beginning, but then it come down to the point when if I wanted to concentrate more on directing, so that way I didn't have to worry about the technical stuff, that helped me a lot.
So when did you start transitioning into the idea for Circus of the Dead after you did your short Doll Boy?
Well, I waited too long. It's like my mom always says, if you wait to have kids, you'll never have kids. Well, I waited to have kids, and I never had kids. The movie thing, I wish I would have jumped in it quicker, but it's all a learning process, you guys. And sometimes you just got to get out there and do it. Seeing Doll Boy now was a good thing. I should have done another short like months after it. And then I should have done Circus even sooner. But just don't wait. You don't have the rest of your life. But also don't rush out there, half cocked and put in a bad actor or something weird that's going to embarrass you. I'm just really good as I have. What I like about Lee and what we both have a good BS filter, our guts. And we wouldn't let each other embarrass ourselves with something. And, that's the way all filmmakers should be, is because some people just put out anything these days. And I'll put on somebody's movie or something, a feature, and it's like, you can't hear what somebody's saying. Everything's all jacked up. It's not in focus. It's too dark. It's too light. And I'm thinking, that's like fundamental stuff. You got to get that right. And if you can't get it right, let somebody get it right for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you wrote the Circus of the Dead script, you said you sent it to Lee. How much of it is you, and how much would you say is Lee? And were you guys purposefully trying to push boundaries with this script?
No, I mean, the boundaries, I'll tackle that first. The boundaries they've just always been there. We've been extreme persons. We see life for what it really is. And we're getting a good dose in 2020 what reality is actually all about. The world's a dark place. Yeah, me and Lee were both kids when Star Wars come out. So we idolized that movie and wanted to tell stories. And then we saw, Chainsaw Massacre and all that stuff and The Shining. And then we said, well, we want to tell scary stories. So that's where that all started. Now, as far as the script and stuff, I'd probably say, as I come up with the story and the plot and all this and write the lines and stuff, and he's basically gave me Papa Corn's being and stuff. It's like, I would write things with Papa Corn, and I was too Sid Haig or too this or that, and Lee reminds me that it needs to be more mental and stuff like that. I guess it's hard to explain, and I don't know what word to put on it, but Lee's the most cerebral guy that I've ever met. He's something different in the head than anybody in the world, I really think. I mean, I always said if he had crazy good drive, he could have been as big as a Kurt Cobain or a John Lennon or something. The dude's just, he's tortured. He's a tortured genius is what he is when it comes to creative stuff. He could have been anything he wanted creative-wise, but he's so tortured with what, his mind tells him and shows him and stuff. It's just, it's amazing he didn't grow up to be a serial killer, to be honest. So. He's just wired a little different.
So what made you want to make a film about killer clowns? Where did the fascination with clowns come from?
That's a good question. Well, because people think, I made a movie about killer clowns. So, I get these clown groupies sending naked pictures, guys and girls, and being clowns and stuff. Honestly, that come when I was I do a zombie-themed haunted house called DEFCON 1, Haunted Warehouse. And I had half of the warehouse empty. So I said, well, let's do one on clowns, because everybody comes up there and says, I hate clowns, I hate clowns. Now, this was in 2004. So then I come up with the idea I ripped off the, Spalding's Murder Maze, and I said, let's do one called, his was what was his called, you guys?
His was called The Murder Ride.
Murder Ride, and I come up with Murder Maze in mine, yeah. So I called it Circus of the Dead Murder Maze. And basically what I wanted to do is take that concept is, what if somebody was just a clown, for their day job, but at their regular person is like a serial killer or, some kind of maniac, like Captain Spaulding. So he inspired me. So basically the reason I wanted to do a clown movie is to show that it didn't have to be a cheesy, funny, ha-ha clown to make a good movie. I really believe I can take any concept and make a good horror movie, if you just do it the right way. It doesn't really matter the subject matter or whatever. There's just certain untalked about rules and blueprints and stuff you certain following things, and that usually will make a decent movie and stuff. If you dot the I's and cross the T's and certain things. So that's what I did, is I just set out to make it sounds pretentious, but to make a good clown movie as opposed to just something cheesy. Because like we even did the research, is there's no makeup above the lips. Real clowns didn't do that. And we really did the research on what we did. We just didn't want it to be some kind of maniac clown sitting in a thing, smearing makeup on his face. And, we just really wanted to do our research. These guys just happen to be, they're clowns or their day jobs at a circus, but they're not. They're doing other kind of, diabolical things. But they weren't about collecting clown cups and, trinkets and stuff like that. That's why we purposely didn't have that kind of stuff. Because, that's where a lot of people will fall wayside is. It's like, well, Jason must have really liked hockey masks. No, he just found one in that one movie and it made a cool monster, so he got stuck with it, in the movies. But in reality, he didn't collect that. He collect heads. You know what I'm saying? Shady. So it's like, that's where those clown movies go wrong. But there's 1,000 bad cliches in clown movies. So
I actually had a chance to read an article you wrote where you were listing your 10 favorite 10 favorite clowns.
It was the 10 favorite clowns not in Circus of the Dead.
10 favorite clowns.
They didn't say that. I would have just put Popcorn, Mr. Blister.
Okay, so what prompted you to write that, or were you reached out to write that article?
Well, I was reached out to write a article, and that they wanted to do a top 10 list on something, and I wanted to do that. I get a lot of people saying, like we come out technically before 31. And a lot of people saying, well, Rob Zombie ripped you off or this. And I go, American Horror Story ripped you off, with that, their twist. What is it? Twisty?
Twisty the Clown.
Yeah, his little thing. See, our mom had that same thing. So, and that was a year or two before that American Horror Story came out. So, but I just wanted to set the record straight that we were influenced by Captain Spaulding. The whole movie was influenced by Sid Haig and Captain Spaulding's character. Or Sid Haig's character in House of 1,000 Corpses. That's what inspired that. So it's like he didn't rip me off. If anything, I ripped him off.
Okay,
Cool.
I see. So really quick, before we get to the next thing, on that list you had Sid Haig as number 1, and you had
Art the Clown is 2.
Art the Clown is 2. You have a little friendly rivalry going on with Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton.
Well, I know David, and I talk to him all the time now. Damien and I talked. He might not even remember, and he's probably slept since then, but we talked 5, 6, 7 years ago on Facebook or MySpace or something. We were talking about things. That's when he first come up with the first, art. There was just a short called Terrifier, I think, back then. And I don't even think it was David playing it. Now, David I've been following since his days as a Joker cosplayer. And he was on my list of 5 people to play Popcorn. Unfortunately, on that list, the first person on there was Bill Oberst, and that's the first person I called, and it worked out perfect with him. The first, he talked to me, we hit it off, and he got picked on that before I even had a chance to call any other actors. We were locked up in negotiations for a little bit, and then even Mosley, I started reaching out to his agent, about that. And later on, Oberst and Mosley worked together in 31, and they talked about Circus of the Dead a lot. And Bill said that, or Mosley said that he hadn't been that disturbed by a movie since the original Chainsaw. And he said the only thing that made him get over the first Chainsaw was to be in the sequel. You know, so he's loosely mentioning maybe Circus of the Dead 2, we bring in a Mosley and do something maybe.
Wow, that's an honor. That's an honor.
I'll get to work with them someday, I hope. I'm sure Oberst will tell them good things about me.
And they got to work together on 3 from Hell. That's another one.
Oh, that's what I was saying, not 31, 3 from Hell.
3 from Hell, yeah.
And they did one called Handy Dan. It was like a puppet movie or something. But I haven't seen that one yet, but I've seen the promos for it.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about the music in Circus of the Dead. It's like a really cool mix of like country music and like really dirty rock. How did you approach the music selection?
Well, the dirty rock was one of my favorite local bands is Pump Jack, so they're in there. And Esau Ramirez, who played, he played the circus worker that picked up the devil clown card.
Oh,
that was in the crap on the ground. And I told him basically, because you know he's really into music and stuff, and his day trade is he's a barber. And I said, pick me out good music. I said it needs to be all indie Texas stuff, because I mean I can't afford Pump Jack. I mean I can't afford Pantera or something like that. So I said let's find some Texas people and put them in there and just kind of go all around the thing. And he come up with that, especially that Beaumont song at the end of it. If you're not with the Lord. That song is.
Oh yeah.
There's so much good music in that. So he's really the one that picked out all that kind of stuff, and I forced him to put one or two in that I like, but all his selections were money.
Okay.
And really quick, speaking about music, could you tell us a little bit about the Billy Hendrix experiment, and are you still doing that?
What?
We haven't done it in a while because, I had the cancer scare, so we have a band now, Corn-Fed Cadillac, and we have a singer. Billy Hendrix kind of come out when we were going through, we didn't have a singer, so it's a 3-piece. If we do Billy Hendrix now, it'll make our current singer sad. So we haven't done it much. And the thing with Billy Hendrix is we only pull it out maybe once or twice a year now. So we'll do it for fundraisers or stuff like that. So it needs to come back out. But we're working on a Van Halen tribute band too, the world's fattest Van Halen tribute band called Van Whalen that I'd like to do before I die. So.
So Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen?
Well, I'm going to say Eddie, only because he influenced me first. When I started doing the Billy Hendrix thing, it was a themed party for an advertising club with like, I don't know, a couple hundred people there. And it was a Woodstock theme. So I was going to dress up as, Jimi Hendrix and bring a guitar and a little bitty amp. But the guy that was running it said, hey, why don't you get your band and y'all do a set of 5 or 6 songs. And it turned out so popular that we just couldn't quit doing it. We started getting offers to do it all the time. But that made me go back and really appreciate and love Hendrix. But I would just probably say it was probably Eddie Van Halen by nose.
What were some of the biggest challenges in getting Circus of the Dead made? Was it like a financial or creatively?
Well, I mean, the financial is just be a good person and do for everybody, because the boss I was working for at the time, I went to him and said I was going to quit because I was going to use because I'd have to quit to get some of my 401k money, because I wanted to, pull out $100,000 and do the movie myself, because I just knew I was getting older. And this is even before the cancer. I just worry about tomorrow sometimes. And he said, well, don't quit. He goes, I'll just give you that money, so, and be your partner. And it happened just that easily. He didn't understand why I was quitting. So my boss sent me to the owner, and that owner said, well, why the heck are you quitting? Did we do something wrong? And I go, no, sir, it's just my dream to make these movies and stuff. So he helped make that possible. And, he's a local millionaire and stuff, and a philanthropist and everything. He's just a good dude. But I think I was able to get that opportunity just by being good to people and being a good worker for him for so long.
Okay. You were you worried that some of the extreme content in the script would make it a hard sell?
Yeah, and it still does. Even on this VOD release, recently they had to pull a couple of things, because of all the violence that's going on in America. The Blu-ray won't be, cut any, but the VOD, they had to change a couple of words and this and that. But do I worry about it? No. My old boss, is like the head scene, in front of Donald, in front of Parrish, where he had the head and he was doing that head. Like that was supposed to, he said, don't even shoot that. You'll be wasting your time. You're not going to put it in the final film. But, you know, he wasn't on set, so I shot it anyway because he taught me, that same boss taught me, is it's easier to, ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, or beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. That's the same. So do it anyway because you don't ever know what you're going to show on special features and stuff like that. And it's pushing the envelope, but now, even just being 5 or 6 years, it doesn't seem like it's pushing the envelope that much compared to what's going out there. Look at The Boys, you know, on Amazon. That's pushing the envelope, but it's pushing the envelope for pushing the envelope's sake. I don't do that. I just put interesting, little things that would happen. What would happen if this story was actually taking place right in front of me? What's off the wall things that, you know, it's like when you read stories now, you go, wow, I can't believe that happened, or wow, I can't believe that exists. It's just like that. You just got to tell an interesting story. Movies, roller coaster for your mind visually and stuff, and your ears and everything, and you got to take people on a good ride and entertain them. You know, it's an amusement park for your mind.
Well, there's some great makeup effects and stunts and kills in this film. You can see stuff like cattle prods, bats, somebody's tongue cut out, throat slits, and there's even like a baby being thrown with the umbilical cord attached. How did you handle that kind of heavy special effects on a low budget, and what was the most challenging?
Well, that was one of the biggest costs was doing special effects. But you can't cut corners because, you know, you guys know as well as I do is when you watch some of those indie films and it's like a painted mannequin head and somebody bumps it with the axe and it falls off the head and you're thinking, what is this stuff? It's my goal in that is look, we know it's fake, but you got to do your best to make it not look fake. But we had a really good special effects team. That's Marcus Cook and Matt Ash and Heather. Heather Buckley helped them too. And they just kind of raised the bar, but we sure asked a lot of them and stuff. I know we worked our butt off for that month. And there's a little bit of CGI in there too, but I hate CGI. So if you notice it, I didn't do my job right, but like we'd have a car that kept driving by when we were trying to film, you can see it in the background. So I had a guy erase it. You don't see that car sitting back there with kids hanging out the window, you know, watching little things like that. Or when the trooper got run over by the school kids, things like that and stuff. So, I mean, there's a little bit of CGI mixed in with real special effects. Because I really don't like special effects. And what I really don't like are CGI bullets and CGI gunfire and CGI blood hits and all that stuff. So
I didn't notice any CGI.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Then see, I did my job, you guys.
I just had a quick follow-up question about Heather Buckley. This is the third week in a row where we've mentioned Heather Buckley. Last week we talked to Jen Wexler. She was talking about how valuable she was with the Ranger. So how did you get such an amazing producer to do the special effects on Circus of the Dead?
Well, I think when she come with me, I don't know that she's done a bunch. I think she might have to correct me, but I dare say she said that we were her first project or something. But she knew the effects guys, and she was with them and helping them because they had a lot of work ahead of them and they needed more people. We had 3 people doing it, but it would have been an easy job for maybe 30 people. You know, we really worked them hard, but it was just chance meeting and stuff. And I haven't seen her since then and all. So it's been forever. We keep up on Facebook and stuff here and catch up maybe once in a blue moon on the phone. But I hope to run into her again. But I noticed, her career's been going really up on producing and stuff. And she's a very knowledgeable person. She's a punk rock person. You know, her mentality and stuff like that. So see, throwing babies and doing weird stuff, she's all good with that stuff because she's punk rock that way.
Cool.
So what was the casting process for Circus of the Dead? How did you choose all your actors and clowns?
And that's a good question. That's a very good question because this is where at first when I first started this is I knew I needed some, for all the top 10 rows, I needed to get, you know, some actors and stuff because I was, and I shouldn't be. There's just only so many people in Midland, Odessa that I could see doing certain things. And so I knew, and then once I found the bill, I started putting everybody else around too. But now the other clowns is like Rusty Edwards played Mr. Blister, Ryan Clapp was Noodle Dome, and Mike Williams was Jumbo. Those are all friends and they all work the haunt. So I basically took their personality and turned it to 11 and made clowns out of them. But I always say I wouldn't make a good clown. I got too square of a jaw or something. To make a good clown, you got to have something odd or something strange. And I'm not making fun of these guys, but even Ryan Clapp, he looks like me, but he shaves his head. He looks a little different. So but he's played that Noodle Dome the Clown since that 2007 fake trailer, and he was even in Dollboy too, Noodle Dome. So, and I didn't even know Rusty back then, so I had to adapt everybody else and bring them in. But it originally called for 6 or 7 clowns, but at the end, I thought I was getting a little too far, so I kept it to 4.
Okay.
So speaking of the clown characters, the clown makeup artist was Esau Ramirez, and he was also the music coordinator.
That's East.
So how did you choose that person, and what was your process in designing all the different clowns?
Well, okay. Here's how that works, because this is where Indie 101 filmmaking comes in. Okay, so the DP, the director of photography, was Gabe Ramirez, and his brother's Esau, and his brother Esau is a barber by trade. Esau's been playing a clown in my haunted house, doing the front, talking to host. So I knew he was pretty good at clown makeup. Well, their sister Pels was a makeup artist, and so she was a no-brainer. So they got forced to do it by their brother. And they just happened to be really, really good at it. And like I said, Esau and Pels and Gabe, I mean, they're a great family and great people, and the movie could not have been made without those 3 people.
How did you get this movie onto the festival circuit?
Well, I mean, the Dollboy kind of opened the door for a lot of things. Anytime anybody's seen Dollboy, and then they kept up with me, and people follow me on Facebook pretty good. I'm kind of bad at Twitter, so at Instagram. But Facebook, I got a pretty good following, and just saying I was going to put it out, people started, getting interested, and Frightmare said, hey, we'll world premiere it if you want here. And we did that, and they did 2 nights. It was standing room only both nights of that, on a Friday and a Saturday night. And we played the kind of a raw version of the film that had an extra 25 minutes on it, I think. It was over 2 hours out there, and but it went over so good, people were freaking out over it, and then the buzz just started from there. And that was 2014, and we didn't get the actual movie out till 2017. And then we went with the indie distributor and got boned on that. And that's why we get the real release now with the real company in Dread. So that's what makes this all so important to me, is now we're going to get a chance to get it to the eyes that need to see it. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is hopefully that's what's going to happen. I know it worked for Terrifier. And, it's a shot in the dark or a shot in a million just to get a movie popular that comes out at the indie range. So I hope we can do it, and I hope it's got enough magic in it to resonate with the horror fans.
The first time we saw Circus of the Dead is when it came up on Amazon Prime, and we praised it on the podcast, by the way.
Awesome.
So why was it pulled from Amazon Prime so quickly? Okay,
this is going to be our part 2 indie filmmaking 101, is in this business, you will be screwed. When you put your film out or something, you will be screwed. I'm going to tell you right up, something's going to happen. It's a rite of passage to be screwed over to be a filmmaker. It just has to happen. I don't know how any other way around it. Unless you just got paid for a job and you have no rights in anything, and you just did your job and got some money and moved on your way, then you probably did okay. Well, I went with this company called Distributor, and what they are is there's a word called aggregator. And what an aggregator does is, since it's hard for the average person to get on Amazon or iTunes and all this, what this company says is like, for X amount of money, we'll get your movie on this. Or for X amount of money, we'll get your movie on that. And that's what they did. And they go, all the profit, everything goes to you. We don't get nothing. The check comes our way, and then we send it to you. Well, that was great for about 2 quarters, but then they didn't respond to me for a year and a half. And then lawyers had to come in, and they still didn't respond. And they go, they filed for bankruptcy and stuff like that. So they kept, about a year and a half's worth of earnings from the movie. So, and the thing that's bad about that is they were in this business to take care of the filmmaker, but they did the same thing all these other companies were doing to, filmmakers as well. So it's lesson learned. But I didn't get into this to be rich. I didn't get into this to be famous. I got in this to tell stories. And so as long as I can tell stories and get the movie out, at the end of the day, I'll be happy.
Were you disappointed when it got pulled off of Amazon? Because when it came out, Mike and I actually praised it, and I showed it to a couple people, and it always went over really well.
Here's what happened is it didn't. We're doing good on Amazon Prime, but the reason it got pulled was this whole when Distributor went bankrupt. They pulled all of Distributor, anything that Distributor put on there, they pulled them all. But unfortunately, iTunes did, and that's what took us so long to get this re-release with Dread is we couldn't get iTunes to pull it, because you can't get on the phone and call somebody at iTunes. You guys, they ain't gonna. You're gonna go to India. You're gonna go to everywhere, and you're not gonna get who you need. Now, my question for you guys is though, how'd y'all find about it? Did y'all find out about it through me, or did y'all just stumble upon it by accident?
We actually met you at Days of the Dead convention in 2016, and
was I wearing my pants?
You might not remember, but I actually had short hair at the time. I interviewed you, and Mike filmed it, an interview with you for our horror variety series horror show.
Okay.
That airs on American Horrors. So that's the first time we had ever heard of you.
I probably looked younger too then, didn't I? I remember that Days of the Dead was a fun circuit. We did Atlanta, Chicago, and LA before I ran out of money.
So that movie had been on our radar since 2016, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, ever since we went to that festival.
Good. I'm glad you guys like it. Y'all saw the after credit scene on it and everything, right?
Yeah. Tell us about your TV projects, the Bloody Bill's Bloody TV and Bloody Bill's Haunted Barn.
Well, the Bloody TV is going to be a Patreon site, and I'm building a studio in my haunt, because I don't know that the haunt's going to be around much longer. And what I'm going to do there is it's kind of like, think Space Ghost. When he used to do that host job, I have like this head on a mannequin. And if I'm talking to you, I'd say, zoom in real close and show just your head, and then it'll be on that TV above this mannequin's head, and I can interview anybody along the world. So it's kind of what you're doing, but I'll have little shorts I make and fake commercials, and just do a 30-minute show every week, and hopefully put it on Dread's VOD services too, Dread TV, and just see what I can do from there. And I just need to be doing more stuff like that. I just like to produce a show each week, and I got some funny segments and stuff like that we'll do, and interview Oberst. And I've met so many people on this journey and talked to other filmmakers who are doing it and giving advice and stuff. So it's kind of what you guys are doing, just trying to get the word out there and spread the horror and stuff like that, especially the indie filmmakers and stuff.
How did the deal with Dread come about?
The deal with Dread was when this distributor thing started to fall apart. They're the first ones on my radar. You guys got to remember is when I first made this movie, I got like 8 offers. And out of those 8 offers, what I did is I had a really good boss, Barry Marks, who's my boss at the TV station. And he said, okay, he goes, we're not agreeing to anything until you do your research. I want you to find out these companies that are asking you to be a part of their company, go contact the other filmmakers and see what their experience is. So I bet I sent out 200 emails to different filmmakers, to all these companies, and probably out of 200 emails, I'd say probably 99% of them come back negative. Like, you don't want to work with them. And it's like, so then I just couldn't, pull the trigger on that because I had that boss over me. And I'm glad I did, but then I went with distributor and then they screwed me over. So now how I come up with Dread is that I've heard good things about them, and I saw what they did with Terrifier. Okay. And Terrifier got out there somehow, and I guess, they had a lot to do with that too. So I wanted to be where they were, and that was the first people I reached out to, and they said, heck yeah. So it was that easy. I just sent them a message. And you guys got to remember, I've sent that same message to people since 2013. Hey, will you take a look at my film? Or are you interested in having my film? But what's funny is from when I come out to now, people are really like, now they come after me and ask me for the movie. And the other days I had to beg people to watch it. So that just means it's getting a good, what do you call it?
Word of mouth? Yeah,
good reputation. And that reputation is resonating with real horror fans, because you guys know as well as I do, these Hollywood horror movies aren't cutting it. They're not. Right. They don't make us feel like we felt when we were kids when we were watching it. So,
how much can you tell us about your upcoming project, the horror western Cowboys from Hell?
Well, I can tell you Corona's slowing it down to molasses. But that come out of Circus of the Dead when I was working with Brad Potts. He played the trooper in the movie, and he just wanted a really good role and stuff. And I said, man, I always talk a big game. I said, I can write you a really good part on that. And I'll be damned if I didn't write a good Western part. But I wrote it all mostly when I was going through chemotherapy and felt like I was on my deathbed. And it's basically about a man coming to the end of his time. And now he's got to pay for all the bad stuff he got. It's like you might be, it's like that's somebody that commits murder when they're young, but then, when they get old, they're going to have to answer for what they did. It's like you just can't get away for it or outgood it. well, I've done a million good things since then. You know, it doesn't make me bad for what I did. Well, it's time to pay the piper. That's what Cowboys from Hell is about.
Where would you say the stage of the production for this? Did you say it's pre-production? Or are you still looking?
Pre-production is what I would say. Yeah, we're real close to starting to do auditions and stuff like that. I got a big old list of everybody that's been writing for the past year, and I've been building a big thing on it. We're getting ready to start reaching out to them, but I just don't want it to do too soon. I want to see what's going to happen with this dang Corona stuff, you know. So that's what we're kind of just on hold for, is because of that. So all I can do in the meantime is I just keep tweaking, and I've been checking in on locations and scouting locations throughout Texas for Western towns and stuff. So just doing that kind of stuff.
And you mentioned in another podcast that you did another interview where you said that you're tossing around ideas for Circus of the Dead 2, and there was going to be a trial among the clown world. Can you tell us anything about that, and what are the chances of that coming to light?
Well, it's coming to light too, but you guys better, you know, get rid of this Corona stuff, or we ain't gonna get anything done. But it's basically if you watch the first Circus of the Dead, and he's back there talking to the winner of that rigged contest in the back of the circus, and you hear the announcer saying the Wheel of Destiny. That's basically what it is Popcorn's got this thing in court. If somebody is found guilty, it's like the old Thunderdome thing. You spin the wheel and see your fate. And the fate's going to be, is what it is. I just always wanted to put Bill Oberst. I always thought he'd play a good attorney. And I said, if we got to do another circus, I said, what if Popcorn was playing the prosecutor? And Noodle Dome was the judge, and the little dwarf guy was on the little keyboard typing his letters. And of course, Rusty the bailiff, that's Rusty Edwards with Mr. Blister. So we got a lot of surprise in that. But what that's going to do is I want to make it more to go back to my roots, like Dollboy. So it'll have Dollboy in it a lot. It'll have Pepe the Mime in it, and there'll be a lot of punishments. And then there's a different punishment with this other character we have. Y'all didn't get to see him in the first circus, called the Wild Woman of Borneo. And that's like this cannibal woman that they kind of keep around and do things to. So
do you plan on having all of your movies connected, like one big cinematic Bloody Bill universe? Yeah,
I'm pretty big on that. If you notice, I mean, like, there's something in everything. Even the Mr. Fister trailer, he's wearing the Popcorn pants, and I wore those same pants in when I did Western gunfights in the early 90s, and now Brad's wearing them as Bloody Bill in the movie. So I like to keep a lot of things connected, and certain brands, Pero Azul cigarettes, and DEFCON Light of the Ale, beer, and I try to do that a lot too. I'm a big Tarantino fan too. If Tarantino was horror, yeah. So I love Tarantino, and I'm hoping to get his attention someday. There's a lot of shots and things I put in movies, thinking that he would really like this if he watched it, but you just can't say, hey, you want to watch my movie? That hasn't happened yet. So.
Well, Quentin Tarantino is a notorious, I don't know how to put it, a fan where he gobbles up like low budget, indie, underground exploitation movies, even though those are not the kinds of movies that he makes.
Yeah.
You could see a lot of influence on his films. I wouldn't be surprised if this came around to if this came under Tarantino's radar. It seems like something that would appeal to the stuff he likes.
I would love that more than anything in life. It would. Now, I'm one of those forever doomsayers in the sense of, like, he liked it that one day I'd feel like king, but the next day I'd say, well, what if my next movie sucks, or I'm not going to be any good, I got to do better. So I'm really hard on myself to do good, but if he got to watch it, mock it, man, yeah, that'd be heaven.
So, a little fun piece of information. We reviewed your film, Circus of the Dead, on the
Did
same...
y'all tag me?
We might have tagged. Did we tag him, Michael?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so.
I would have shared it. Yeah, surely I shared it, right? If you don't ever hear back from me, then I didn't see it or something happened.
It was about a year ago. It was last July, but we actually made a point. We reviewed it on the same podcast that we discussed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I love that. I love that movie, yeah.
So
I'm waiting. I see that swimming pool behind you. I'm waiting for somebody to come out with the flamethrower and...
Oh yeah, I wish. I don't have any flamethrowers or anything like that. What could we expect from the Blu-ray? Is there going to be any special features or any behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think there's I'm still holding on to the behind the scenes stuff. I'm hoping to do a big old a recut of everything and just do something off the wall. But there's a, what do you call it? We did a reunion out at Bastrop at the Cult Classic Convention. That's on there. And Dollboy's actually on the Blu-ray. They mastered it on Blu-ray and put it on there as an Easter egg. And that's the first time Dollboy's ever been on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a commentary track. But fair warning, I talk a lot of crap on that commentary track. So.
What about that 25 minutes that you say was taken out of the original cut?
Well, some of it sucks.
Okay.
So there's a lot of deleted scenes that I did put on the bonus feature. You'll see it on the Blu-ray. Yeah, there's just some things that didn't. I don't know. I don't even know where to do that. That might be a different. I need to sit down and watch the movie and tell people. But like I said, maybe I'll do an ultimate cut someday that has some of that stuff. But I'm real big. If it doesn't fit or it feels phony, like there's that whole freak show deleted thing in there. I took that out of the movie because it made it look like there's more people involved in this criminal activity going on. I thought it's already kind of rough believable that these people are letting this happen in their circus. So I kind of made it where the clowns just kind of do their own thing. So adding the freak show to them too kind of made it cheesy in my eyes, and that's why I pulled that. And it hurt real bad because it had like my friend Fred in it, Fred Urban, who's passed away since then, and he played the strong man in there. So, I mean, and I remember when I cut it, he goes, you do what's best for the film. It'll never hurt my feelings. You know, you're my friend. So it kind of just sucks that away because, but maybe I'll try to work that footage in on part 2 or something. But, yeah.
Okay.
So there's another director that we interviewed a few weeks ago, Adrian Tofay. He did this movie, Be My Cat. And you're listed on his upcoming project, which is an anthology film, Wander Tales. Is that still happening?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that in a long time. And when I was talking to Bill Oberst when I mentioned him, I said, dang, Bill, you're part of like 100 projects. He goes, yeah. He goes, in this business, though, a lot of those don't even happen. I didn't understand what he's talking about, but now the longer I'm in this business, I understand. And it's usually, you know, it's funding or producing and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if it's happening or not. I got another anthology coming. It's Cryptids with the guys who made The Barn. Y'all remember The Barn?
Oh, yeah.
They're doing one called Cryptids, and I did one that's called, my cryptid that they gave me was Chupacabra. So I did a short called Chupacabra Death Machines.
How did you use another one that you're involved with? 60 Seconds to Die. You shot the stork. For that. On your IMDb, it says the stork was made first. Was that made to be part of that anthology, or did they just want to absorb it after they?
I don't know. I've never watched the whole anthology, so I don't know. Is it the first one? I haven't even watched it. We might appear first. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was, but I will say this: if I got a job, I usually try to knock it out and not sit on it a long time.
Oh, okay.
I got to do that with Chupacabra's Death Machine and get that wrapped up. But I was shooting it right after I shot that, like a week later is when I was diagnosed with cancer, and I got like laid up real bad for about a year and a half. But so some of the stuff I watch now is like thinking, what was I thinking? I go, oh yeah, I wasn't thinking, I was sick. So
that reminds me of something I've been wanting to talk to you about. You inspired me so much as a human being and as a filmmaker because I've been following your career ever since we interviewed you.
And I appreciate that.
And I struggle so much as a filmmaker and for my self-worth and wondering if I should keep doing it. And then you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and you battled it and you beat it. How did this affect your career, and what kept you going through all of it?
Just wanting to make movies. It would just suck to die and not see this re-released, and maybe what could possibly happen to it would be nice. And the fact that I don't want that to be my last movie. I don't want my next one to be my last one. I don't want the one after that to be my next one. Unlike Tarantino, I'm going to try to do it until I just can't do it anymore because it took me so long to get started. You know, I was in my 40s before the movie started happening, and now I'm 50. So I just want to do as many as I can, you know, before I die. And it is my full-time job now. So that's what's changed since the cancer. I said, well, I'm going to work for myself and do my own stuff because I don't have time I don't know how much time I got, so I want to do as much as I can for me before I, work for the man, so to speak.
Yeah, that's another reason why it inspired me, because I didn't get into filmmaking until late in life too. I was in my late 30s, so I'm 47 now, and sometimes I feel like I want to give up. And I seen you go through cancer, and you're still going. I'm like, what the hell do I have to complain about?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, that's what I said. Always be careful with that, because you just never know. I mean, they could call you tomorrow and tell you the same thing. You don't know. But when I talk to other people with cancer and stuff like that, is like, you got to have that fight. If you don't have the fight, then it's going to get you. And it's just the same thing with movie making. If you don't have the fight, you're not going to put in it what it deserves and stuff, and you're not going to make anything. I always say the same thing I tell myself, pump myself up when I'm filming, I'm having a hard day filming, as I say, make something effing brilliant. I said, this is your chance to make something effing brilliant that can last forever. And if by some strange chance this is my last movie, I want it to be something that I'm not embarrassed of. And that's what I tell these first-time filmmakers, just give it your all and ask other people. Anybody that I mentor, I tell them the same thing. Always pay it forward. Never turn your back on another filmmaker or whatever. Listen to what they have to say. And be as honest as you can without crushing them. I still believe being like a drill sergeant in the sense as I would tell you, if you're down on yourself, I would pump you up and tell you and get out here and let's get it done and all this kind of stuff. But just I'm not a make excuses kind of person. So do the best you can. And like I said, if you can't do good at something, if you go, I'm horrible at this, and you find somebody that can do it. I'm not an actor, so I get actors. I need a better camera person, so I get DP. I need a better sound person, I get a sound person. So just don't try to do everything yourself. Just find a tight circle of people that believe in you and all have the same vision of making something great, and you'll do something great.
What do you think it is about the horror community that makes it so much more welcoming than other areas of filmmaking? Because I notice within the horror community, the people involved are friendlier, they want to talk to you more, they're more appreciative of their fans, and there's rarely any kind of ego or attitude. What do you think about it is about horror that makes that community so different?
Well, I've never been in any other genre thing, so I don't know, but I tell people is they see these horror people and they think these must be some bad people, and this, and I go, they're the nicest people in the world you'll ever meet. The craziest looking person at a convention that walks up to your table ends up being the sweetest person you ever meet sometimes. So just don't judge a book by its cover. I think that us horror fans, we're just molded in that. We have a certain thing is we like to, we like our imagination and we like that kind of stuff. But I don't think they say, well, if you watch horror movies that make you want to kill things, I said, no, it's probably the opposite of anything. It's just entertainment. We're actually better, people than most people because they're just so nice and stuff. I know there's a little bit of drama, but I'm saying in comparison to everyday life, there is no drama technically in the horror business in these conventions. Because now I see I had a reviewer come up. The very, very, very first review we had, and I'm not even going to say his name or nothing. Not that I'm mad at him, but this was a good thing. Is he come up to Frightmare, I think it was last year or the year before, and he's go, I was kind of scared to stop by your table. And I go, oh, did you give me a bad review or something? He goes, well, I did. It was the first one, and you got real mad, and all your fans, started getting mad and all this kind of stuff. And it was the first one, so it scared me. It was the first one that come out of that Frightmare screening. So I thought, man, I'm going to get all bad reviews. But I would even challenge anybody out there, try to find a bad review on Circus. It's pretty rough. But anyway, I said, you know what? We'll take another copy of the movie. You saw a rough cut. I said, there ain't no hard feelings. You know what I mean? Take this copy here. Here's you a T-shirt. And, hey, I just appreciate it, no hard feelings and stuff. So, that's about the worst that it gets on that. But, it's you kill them with kindness is what you do. Kill them with kindness.
Are the films that made you a horror fan the same films that inspired you to be a filmmaker?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, you're close to the same age. That VHS revolution changed it all for us, because we'd go to those stores and get a 50-cent, 49-cent movie on a special day or something, and just look at the box cover and get it. So once I loved I actually saw Chainsaw Part 2 before I saw the first one, and then I went backwards. But then I saw Toxic Avenger and things like that, and it just so I just fell in love with the horror thing. Can I make those kind of movies like Toxic Avenger comedies? I don't know. I know I got some comedy in mind, but I guess I'm more of, I want to make a good movie even though it's a horror movie. You know, they say, well, horror movie can't be good movies. I said, well, times have changed. I think they can be now.
Yeah.
I would say they're some of the best movies, or some of the most imaginative, where
Yes.
I feel like a lot of genres, and me and Mike have discussed this before, if a comedy is cheesy or poorly put together, it's hard to get through. If a drama is cheesy or poorly put together, it's hard to get through. But if you watch a horror movie and say it's not the best, say it's like kind of cheesy and there's things about it you laugh, for some reason they still manage to be more entertaining than another film in the genre on the same level. There's still more charm and more personality to these films.
Yeah, you're right, but look what they groomed us to. I mean, even going back to the black and white stuff, the giant ants and stuff like that, it's the cheesiness and campiness has been ingrained in it, so it's really not that bad. And some of that stuff in the 80s when the VHS stuff come out, and we say, oh, they're great, but you know, it's like they're not very good. Some of those don't hold up very good today. I'll try to show my stepkid or something, and he goes, this kind of sucks, you know. So it's like, oh, I remember it being better when I was younger, but I just think we're groomed with those because there was no expectations on horror movies back then. So whatever we got to watch, it's like, well, it's okay. It wasn't. Hey, I got through it, you know. So that was usually a good thing to make it through it.
Yeah.
What are some horror films that you've enjoyed in the last few years?
Well, I mess up a lot of people's mind, and they get mad at me sometimes for saying it, but like I really liked Midsommar a lot, you know, and that's out of my wheelhouse, and that's not like something I could make or nothing, but it just did something different that I've never seen or felt in a movie, and it made me uncomfortable watching it. And same thing with The Lighthouse. So it's like, well, Billy, if you made movies like that, I wouldn't watch. I said, well, I don't think I can because I'm not that artsy. Yeah, I'm more of a Rob Zombie type guy that's just got crazy ideas in his head. But I like those a lot too. Like Dr. Sleep, you know, the wife likes it and all, but I was watching The Shining and then back to back with that one. I said, you guys missed the boat because The Shining was awesome as heck. But trying to think more recently, yeah, I watch all that stuff, Hereditary and all that, but nothing's changed my life. I would say Midsummer's changed my life. I'll tell you another one that changed my life was The Greasy Strangler. And everybody got to tell me about that, but I know it's a straight comedy, but I love that movie. It was like an X-rated Napoleon Dynamite. I thought it was brilliant. But a lot of people, they look at me weird. They couldn't get the wife to watch that one either. So,
well, what I like about your movie is, as a fan, I'm a little bit younger. I grew up in the 90s, like as a kid in the 90s, and my dad whenever I used to go visit my dad, he would take me to the video store.
I don't remember taking you there.
Oh, so my dad used to take me to the video store, and he would let me rent out whatever horror movie I wanted. As a kid, I was obsessed, so I took the whole thing. I remember being shocked by so many things. As a horror fan, I feel like I'm kind of jaded. It's hard to shock me, or to I've enjoyed a lot of horror movies. They don't need to shock me in order for them to be good. But your film actually shocked me, and some of the stuff took me off guard in a way that I haven't been taken off guard in years in a horror movie. So thank you for that experience. I wanted to tell you that.
But everybody's that's the trend now, you guys. Even like Walking Dead, as bad as it's become, I mean, everybody's pushing the envelope. That's the trick now, is you got to push the envelope in something, and it's a fine line you walk from being just pushing it for pushing its sake and just letting it happen naturally. Everybody wants that shocking moment, you know, but you know, remember in Devil's Rejects, he did that with that truck. That girl ran out on the road, and then the truck ran her over. Yep. I mean, that made the jump, you know, for better or worse. So I think we just need to push the envelope because, hell, look at real world right now. Look at the stuff going on now and stuff, people dying in the streets and stuff. I mean, real world is bad. Nothing I can show you in a movie that's fake will ever make you feel like the real news, or seeing a soldier get their head cut off, an American soldier. I mean, this is horrible stuff that we're seeing every day on the computer by accident. You know, give me fantasy over reality any day of the week.
Okay. Well, so I know that you get asked a lot for advice for up-and-coming filmmakers. I'm going to be a little more selfish about it and ask for myself, because I just finished, James helped me produce it. I wrote and directed my first feature film, and we've entered it in 5 festivals so far. So any advice for me going forward with this? Because I'm really iffy about it, especially with the Corona thing.
Well, you entered the film or just the script?
The
film.
Oh, you actually made the film and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Shocking. Oh, go ahead.
We made it for $4,000 in 5.5 days.
Okay, well, I mean, you're gonna have to get it to a distribution place to see if they're interested in picking it up. Is what you're gonna do. And then I would buy some KY jelly and get ready, because that's probably what's going to happen. But just take the success. If somebody picked it up and actually picked it up and put it out, I mean, take that as a success, you guys, and you know, take it. Sometimes if those movies get put into the Walmarts or the Targets, Best Buys and stuff, is they'll send you a check or something. And I know this to so many filmmakers, 99% of the other filmmakers, they, oh, heck yeah, and they went and spent it on their next movie or something, and then after they got like a clause in these retail stores that if it doesn't sell, you got to buy that stuff back. But then the filmmakers spend all the money. So that's the kind of stuff you got to watch. Is you got to have an attorney. I would have an entertainment attorney. And there's some that are friends of the horror business that would help you out. You have to have E&O insurance that you'll pay about $3,000 for, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to blindside you. But also too, if it's getting picked up at film festivals, it's pretty good. But just try to get it to these other places, you know, make a good EPK electronic press kit with all that kind of stuff. You've seen what we did with our art in the early days and stuff. Do good stuff that way and present it in a professional way, and then just see who bites on it. In the beginning with Circus, we hired a salesman, and what this company would do is take us, and they showed where they solicited it to 60 big companies or 60 companies, and that's where we got the 8 or 9 to bite back on us. It just wasn't like, you know, Sony or, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So just try and see. And then if somebody is interested in you and you got a bunch of deals, and you just send an email to me or a message saying, Billy, so-and-so's asking, you know, don't throw me under a bus, but just say, you know, what do you know about these guys, or what have you heard about these guys, or would you work with these guys again? That kind of thing. So, and that's what these filmmakers will do, is get that feedback too.
Yeah, well, I've been screwed over quite a bit, so hopefully I've reached my quota and I'll finally have some success with this one.
Well, I mean, if you spent $4,000 and then some blood, sweat, and tears, I mean, at the end of the day, you just wanted to make a good movie. That's all you want. And if it gets out there in a bunch of eyes, that's all you want too. So, I mean, you know, it's not going to make you rich. This ain't going to make me rich. It's just, if they just open some bigger doors, I would be happy, so I could make some bigger budget movies and work with some of my heroes. That's all I would like it to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like you. I just want to be able to keep making films. That's my goal.
Me too. I don't think I want to get rich off of filmmaking. I just want to make a decent enough living and be able to produce things with, you know, decent sized budgets.
Well, that's what happens to these guys. Like, people get mad at me for dogging Rodriguez all the time. Robert Rodriguez, but it's like, dude, it's like it's like these machete movies are supposed to be throwbacks to Grindhouse, and you're using CGI effects and stuff. Go old school. If anybody can go old school, he can. El Mariachi's like the best movie ever, and it's like, dude, go back to your roots when you didn't have all these bells and whistles. You know what, you guys? Life is like that Rocky 3. You get spoiled. You get a band playing for you, an air conditioner in a hotel, and you're doing jumping jacks and all this. You need to get back into that alley in your holy sweats and chase chickens around, you know, in the ghetto. That's when you're hungry. That's when you wanted to do it. That's what I tell myself, is like, never get complacent and lazy. You know, I got to outdo what I did last time, and that's my goal. But I think a lot of these filmmakers just seem like they phone it in some days. I don't know what's wrong.
Speaking of which, I was going to ask you, this seemed like a random question. What did you think of Grindhouse, the Rodriguez-Tarantino double feature? Because Rodriguez approached it in a more modern way and tried to make it look old, and Tarantino's approach was more old school. Well,
Tarantino, everything he does is old school approach. I appreciate that, and I think I do too by accident, because it's like, if you said, okay, you got to write down your 10 favorite movies or something, and if you do like a research, it's going to end up being the 70s and, you know, maybe 1980 or something. So it's just, that's what it should be. They didn't have no money back when they made those. I think that Rodriguez is just a tech nerd, and I don't say that in a bad way. I think he really likes, hey, we could cut corners by doing this on green screen or this or that. But I can do that stuff too, because I did it at the commercials when I did commercials and stuff. But if I don't have to use CGI, I will not. I mean, like squibs and stuff, they make some now that are safe. They're just air cannons. That's what we use. We just run a tube up somebody's shirt. It can't hurt them. It's just air. So nobody uses those. They're actually cheap and everything, but nope, they use fake CGI bullet hits and have a little blood hit the camera and stuff, and fake on the screen and stuff. And it's just, I don't get it. I loved Grindhouse because it inspired me to make that fake trailer. And then after that, I made another fake trailer called Mr. Fister for Hobo with the Shotgun, because they had a contest too, and it actually did really good. Mr. Fister is a great fake trailer of mine you should check out. But that's what I'm saying is they just need to go more old school. If he would go old school, I think, and go back to his roots, it's like, how are you going to be better when you had nothing than you are now when you got everything? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Oh, he's kind of like an exploitation George Lucas or James Cameron.
Yeah. And I don't mind. I mean, if like I said, I know people that know Rodriguez, and I'm not dogging the dude. I love the dude, and El Mariachi's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I loved even Desperado and stuff. But I mean, this Machete stuff, man, it's CGI after CGI after CGI. I was watching Spy Kids or something. It's like, that's not what I'm tuning in for. I want to see an old school Grindhouse flick. Okay. Real cameras, real actors, real guns, real knives, real, fake blood, and all this stuff. So,
you mentioned wanting to work with some of your heroes. Who are some people that you would love to collaborate with in the future?
Well, I would like my big shot with. I know I could save the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and I don't want to do remakes and stuff like that. And people go, "Why? People shouldn't do remakes." It's like, well, I don't want to. But if they're going to keep making them, then I need to make it so that way I can fix it and not embarrass things like it's been. I know I could save these fledgling things that keep making bad ones, but it's like, I think it's what happened to Zack Snyder with Justice League and stuff. I think there was just too many executives and stuff, too many, cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. And there's just too many people telling you what to do. So I guess for me, of course, I would say Star Wars would be a dream come true. And they had that one book that was Death Troopers. They had like zombie stormtroopers. Like, that would be fun. And there's a lot of Jedi stuff that I wouldn't mind doing. But of course, that would be good to work with anything legacy of Toby Hooper or anything, or John Carpenter or something. Anything, those kind of heroes is what I would kill to do. Well,
we highly recommend that anybody watching or listening to pick up the new Circus of the Dead Blu-ray. It comes out Tuesday, July 14th. It's got brand new cover art and everything, and this is a must-see movie for any horror fan, especially if you like Grindhouse and you like low-budget, like nasty films. This one is definitely nasty, but very well made and cinematic as well.
It's a well-made nasty film.
Yeah. I feel like this is going to appeal to have a big following with especially a certain type of horror fan, the ones that want to see the more extreme content, the one that
real ones,
yeah, more of like the new,
not the Walking Dead fans.
Yeah.
The new kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Where can we purchase this film, or where would you recommend that?
It's going to be on VOD on July 14th, and also you can get a brand new Blu-rays at dreadcentral.com.
Okay, dreadcentral.com.
And just go to the store.
Okay, perfect.
And buy Circus of the Dead, not Terrifier.
All right.
Right.
Enough people's already bought Terrifier. Let's buy some Circus of the Dead for a little bit.
Yeah.
We know David Howard Thornton. We're going to let him know you said that.
We're going to work together. I said I'd work together. I'd love to work with the guy, but he's sure in the hell not playing a clown in my movie, because I'm not going to be able to top art the clown. So.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Well, we wanted to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. There's so much great information. Mike and I have been following your career for years now.
Thank you so much, guys.
We're happy to be able to talk to you again and support your film. Like, we really, really like your movie a lot. We think it's something that hardcore horror fans who want the hardcore content are really going to dig what you did with this movie.
Well, I'll tell you what, too, is let's do this, too, is I'll send you guys 6 of my Texas Frightmare weekend DVDs that you can give out to 6 lucky winners on your show when this podcast hits. So, PM me an address, and I'll send those out, and I'll even sign them, and y'all can send them out to 6 lucky winners. Or you can send them out to 4 lucky winners and snag one yourself if you want to.
Awesome.
Perfect. That sounds like a great idea.
Just send me that address, and I'll get it out to you.
I'll probably end up buying the Blu-ray myself anyway. I'd rather.
I don't have nothing to do with those when those send out. But if you come through me on anything, I'll send in some stickers and swag and stuff. So.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bill. It was great having you on the podcast.
Yeah. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all take care.
Horror show exclusive.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Billy PON. Keep checking out our podcast. We're going to have interviews on a regular basis now, ever since our podcast format has morphed a little bit. And if you're trying to break in the industry, I hope you took notes.
We've been having a lot of great interviews like this, a lot of really talented people coming on, and Billy PON is no different. If you want to check out all of our past episodes, go on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud, and we're also on YouTube now. And you check us out on social media, facebook.com/Pickles Horror Show and Instagram/Pickles Horror Show.
And we keep saying it, guys, but we promise we're working on it. We will get this podcast to Anchor and Spotify very soon.
Yes, and we'll have news on our feature film Pay Up very soon. We should be getting answers from festivals in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned on the show. We got a lot of great stuff coming up.
Till next week, happy horror.
Happy horror.